And now, the general weather around Alaska. Welcome to the Alaska Weather Show. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service on this Sunday, July 2nd, 2023. And welcome to our new YouTube channel at NWS Alaska. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I provide in this broadcast, you can go to weather.gov. It'll bring you to a point-and-click map of the continental U.S. where you can get forecast, any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories for anywhere in the country. And across the lower 48 on this Sunday afternoon, we have several very large areas of severe thunderstorm watches for parts of the mid-Atlantic, as well as the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. There could be especially some strong damaging winds with the storms there, and then heat advisories from the Carolinas down across the deep south, and then back to the west we have excessive heat warnings, southwest Arizona, California up through the Big Valley, and then also heat advisories up into portions of Northern California and Oregon. And here in Alaska, well, the clouds and rain are once again spreading across south central and southwest areas of state. We had just a brief respite from that, a couple of days with some sunshine. Saturday was excellent in these areas, but now the clouds and rain are returning. That moisture will continue to spread up across the mainland, especially into the interior and along the west side of the state as we go into Monday and Tuesday. Further east, a warm ridge of high pressure is going to be developing overhead there over the eastern Gulf and off the coastline there of the Panhandle later on this week into next weekend, which will lead to some much warmer temperatures in the 70s and 80s. But on the other side of the coin, the other side of the ridge, generally below normal temperatures and occasionally wetter conditions will prevail, especially across the southwest mainland, the Alaska Peninsula, and even up into areas surrounding Cook Inlet in south central. Quick check of a few of the FAA webcams this Sunday afternoon. Point Hope, seeing partly sunny skies, those altocumulus clouds. The temperature 41 degrees. Kodiak with the occluded front working its way northeastward of your location. Some low clouds, fog earlier, some rain and breezier conditions. Temperature only at 52 degrees. And then way up in the Yukon Flats area, Fort Yukon, partly cloudy. Temperature approaching 80 degrees as of 2 o'clock this afternoon. And in the southeast, Klawak, partly sunny, 63, and you're going to see much warmer temperatures developing there across the Panhandle. Some areas will be getting up well into the 80s here, especially Friday and Saturday in the week ahead. Fire danger is creeping upward across areas of the interior and along the north slope. Fortunately, we don't have really hot conditions or windy conditions or a lot of lightning, but notice the increase here around the Yukon Flats, Fort Yukon, also areas of the middle upper Tanana Valley. So be very careful handling any sort of fire, whether you're out recreating with a campfire or you're thinking about lighting off fireworks to celebrate the 4th of July. Be very cautious because some areas do have some very high fire danger. Southwestern parts of the state in and around Cook Inlet, generally low fire conditions are expected here going into the holiday. Now, looking at satellite imagery, we have the low that's sitting here in the North Pacific, southeast of Sand Point, southwest of Kodiak. Here's the occluded front that's working its way north and northeastward, so that's putting a damper on things. Anchorage Bowl has clouded over with some rain this afternoon, already arriving actually several hours earlier than what it looked like it would on Saturday. And then we have a weakening front or trough here across the Chukchi Sea back toward eastern Russia. And looking at, again, the satellite imagery, we do have this front and moisture that extends all the way back here across the southwest interior. So we're back under the clouds with areas of rain and rain showers. Here's the low pressure system this Sunday afternoon. Occluded front kind of doubly wrapped around it. It's a weak system as far as central pressure goes, but it has had some gale force winds along this occluded front as it's worked its way northeastward across the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island into the entrance there of Cook Inlet. By late tonight, early on Monday morning, the low will continue to further weaken. We have a weak thermal trough low that we often see this time of year in the summer extending across the central interior. And then as we go into Monday afternoon, that low will continue to just slowly lift northeastward and continue to fill and weaken, as will this occluded front. But the moisture left from the front will just continue to lift northward up into the interior and especially along the west side of the state. And yet behind it, another low sits back toward the central western Aleutians, and this system will eventually fling another round of moisture off of the Gulf and out of the Bering into southwestern and the west side of the state. So this area here going to stay cooler than normal with occasionally wet periods of weather. Meanwhile, we anticipate a ridge of high pressure to begin to build out over the Gulf, especially the eastern half of the Gulf, and that's going to allow temperatures to warm by the end of the week across the panhandle. So here is that low south of the central Aleutians on Tuesday afternoon with another occluded front extending ahead of it. And that just serves as kind of a conveyor to help pull up that moisture off the North Pacific across the Alaska Peninsula and then into areas of south central, southwest. And the previous moisture from the system coming through today will have worked its way all the way further north. Now, this isn't going to be a solid area of rain. Some areas it's just going to be scattered showers and a few isolated thunderstorms with a daytime heating. But this ridge will be building. This is at the surface, but it's the mid and upper level ridge in the upper atmosphere. It's going to really help the compressional warming. So areas of the panhandle could see temperatures upper 70s, well into the 80s here by the end of the week ahead, especially starting Thursday and Friday and Saturday of next weekend. Looking at the weather map, Monday morning, lows will generally be in the upper 40s to lower 50s, both across the panhandle and south central. Temperatures are going to be kept down across much of south central, 50s to near 60 degrees due to the cloud cover, occasional showers, areas of rain. Some areas could get back up around 70, Skagway, Haines, also down toward Hyder in, Ketchikan. But Tuesday morning lows, lower 50s in the panhandle, generally near or slightly below 50 south central, and temperatures again averaging well below normal for this time of year across the western and northwestern portion of the Gulf surrounding Prince William Sound and further south and west. Across the north, mild temperatures overnight tonight, mid-50s. A few areas may even stop near 60, say in the Yukon Flats. Temperatures generally above freezing along the Arctic coast. One more really warm day possible. Yukon Flats, Fort Yukon could be up around 85 on Monday, 83 at Eagle. Further west, it's cooling down a bit, 59 at Nome. Nome had enjoyed temperatures in the 60s over the weekend, even some 70s that occurred today. Around Kotzebue Sound will be cooling back down on Monday. And then Tuesday morning lows, warmest temperatures will be here along the Alcan border south of the Brooks Range, and we anticipate temperatures, though, with increasing cloud cover and some areas of rain or scattered showers and isolated storms will be knocked back down to near just above 70. Elsewhere through the middle Yukon Valley, north and northwest of the Alaska Range, low mid-60s, and then cooler, say from around Point Hope down along through Wales, back toward St. Lawrence Island, temperatures only mid and upper 40s for highs. And then Monday morning in the southwest, lows 40s to near 50 degrees, 40s out across the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians. And with the cloud cover, we expect temperatures not to be much more than 60 degrees, say at Bethel on to our Anvik, with some areas of rain and rain showers. Cooler temperatures extending out through the Aleutians. Lows generally in the 40s across much of the southwest, Alaska Peninsula and Aleutians, and daytime highs Tuesday afternoon at best maybe around or just above 60 at King Salmon, back toward Bethel and up toward getting up in and around Unalakleet. And then as we look at the temperature outlook, this is not encouraging for those of you in south central and southwest areas of the state. As I mentioned, that ridge is going to build, warm things up for next weekend across the panhandle, and that pattern will generally tend to hold to keep the panhandle with above normal temperatures July 8th through the 12th. Meanwhile, with low pressure residing over the Bering Sea, that's going to keep a moist southwest flow of air aloft coming in up over south central and over the southwestern quadrant, or I should say half of the mainland. So we would expect precipitation to average above normal across the western and northern portions of the mainland, because that moisture just gets funneled eventually further north with time. Meanwhile, drier than normal conditions should develop and persist across the panhandle here as we go through the first half of July.